Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson is perhaps the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, on the cusp of one of the most important legacy-defining fights of his career, concluding his thrilling trilogy against Adriano Moraes at One Fight Night 10. It's time to look back at the epic events that led him here. Leaving the UFC after nearly a dozen title defenses to join one championship, Johnson dominated an 8-man Grand Prix to earn a shot at the championship belt. DJ's style proved to be just as overwhelming to his new crop of competitors. Per usual, he used high-level footwork to set up short striking exchanges that blended well into takedowns. He constantly switched between orthodox and southpaw, using V-steps, C-steps, and lateral shuffles. This let him play with angles, align his power side to their open side, exit offline, and dive in for takedowns from either side. Mighty Mouse's submissions are not only a testament to his grappling skills, but also to his ability to seamlessly blend between striking and grappling, wearing down his opponents over time with equal parts athleticism, talent, and willpower. However, Johnson's new rival for the title would be none other than esteemed champion, Adriano Moraes. Moraes learned a multitude of grappling arts growing up in Brazil before transitioning to MMA, where he specialized in submissions, to no one's surprise. What makes Moraes so dangerous is his otherworldly ability to time reactive takedowns, using his opponent's own attacks against them. The grappler's bane is the inability to take the opponent to the ground where they can practice their art. But Moraes rarely has this problem. Throwing any strike at all gives him a chance to duck in and establish a tie. He's also especially good at chaining off of caught kicks. Once he grabs a hold, his opponent is like a spider caught in a web. His versatility allows him to be confident transitioning between positions fluidly, able to take advantage of any small opportunity without hesitation. But one of Mighty Mouse's greatest strengths is his total mastery of every single element of MMA. Moraes' insane grappling wouldn't matter if DJ could dominate on the feet. But if he couldn't, he may be in for a tough night. That night arrived, and the time for speculating was over. From the very beginning, Moraes denied Mighty Mouse his angular cutoffs, which normally worked even against those who backed up at an angle like they should instead of retreating straight back. Moraes did neither, squaring up to circle sideways like a boxer from the outside. The Black Diamond then started timing Mighty Mouse's heavy entries to intercept him rather than move away. The last time catching one of Mighty Mouse's kicks. Johnson went down, but showing off his amazing agility, he ended up on top. However, the threat of a heel hook forced him to reposition, and Moraes flipped the script, raining down blows until the very end of the round. One round does not make a fight, but in this case, it accurately set the tone. Moraes continued fighting off of lateral movement until Johnson lunged in with a deep body jab, and Moraes responded with a jumping front kick. Astonishingly, Mighty Mouse had the reflexes to ride it back and catch Moraes' leg. Equally impressive, Adriano immediately turned to limp leg out of it, returning an off-balance spinning back fist. DJ waded in, but Moraes parried and controlled his wrist. At near the same time, Johnson swung an overhand, but Moraes continued the rally by leverage blocking, then shifted back. DJ ducked in low, but Moraes timed a beautiful shovel hook that put the legendary champion in the hole. Moraes swarmed. Johnson tried to regain his feet, but Moraes elbow framed to steady his head in place, then slammed a knee into Mighty Mouse's head with the finality of the last nail slamming into a coffin door. The great champion had fallen. However, the story does not end there. DJ went on to win a highly anticipated special rules event against the infamous Muay Thai warrior Rodtang, and then prepared for the rematch of his career. At first, it seemed the second fight may play out exactly the same as the first. Moraes stayed safe with movement and proved just as adept at catching Johnson's kicks. Although Mighty Mouse showed astounding confidence by placing his hands behind his back, Adriano took him down just a moment later. Once again, DJ did a great job defending by threatening submissions and got in some shots of his own. But Adriano stayed in a dominant position the remainder of the round. Despite the bad start, DJ got far more aggressive in the second. A deep leg kick cost him across to the temple. Moraes surged in with a 1-2, which Johnson evaded with a switch shift, a pull, and a parry before blitzing forward. Still, all that complexity had accomplished little. Then, Moraes tried again with a roundhouse that he wanted Johnson to think was going low. Instead, his shin went up and over, skimming Johnson's dome. The mouse fell into the cage, but he kept his composure, shelling up, throwing back, and displaying expert head movement to stay in the fight. Adriano stuck to him. He threw a body kick while Mighty Mouse threw a wide hook at the same time. Johnson took advantage to grab a hold and went for the takedown. But Moraes sprawled and then threw thudding knees into Johnson's ribs. DJ endured and got back to his feet, punishing Moraes with his own knees. Again showcasing his insane athleticism, the shorter fighter launched a knee at the taller fighter's head. But Moraes again displayed his astonishing reflexes and scary intelligence by catching it, slamming Johnson down to the mat. And there he stayed, fixed once again until the end of the round. DJ needed to come up with something fast, and he did. In the third, Mighty Mouse drastically increased his pace and work rate. But what really mattered was how he did it. He stopped charging in with heavy one-shot strikes. Instead, every strike was set up with multiple feints, fakes, and false entries. DJ went from feinting once, or not at all, to feinting 2, 3, or even 4 or 5 times. And many of these were footwork or kicking feints, used to change position or shift forward. Reminiscent of the famous fight scene in Way of the Dragon, where Bruce Lee turns the tide of his fight against Chuck Norris by moving, feinting, and playing with rhythm. Mighty Mouse's similar new strategy kept Moraes biting on nothing. Moraes' senses became overwhelmed. He began wasting energy with overreactive footwork. And Mighty Mouse had disguised his intentions well enough to simply pounce in from time to time, landing hard shots as he did so. With 2 minutes left, Johnson got even more brazen, grabbing hold of both of Adriano's wrists, pressing him towards the cage until he resisted, then suddenly disengaging to slam a fierce elbow into the champion's chin. The rest of the round, Mighty Mouse was domination incarnate. Even when Moraes briefly pressed him against the cage, Johnson was the one in control, his small grappling adjustments easing the way for multiple crushing knees. The entire fight had flipped, and the change had been sudden and drastic. But now it was up to Johnson to see if he could make something of it. The fourth was frantic. After a clash on the cage, Moraes exited with a tremendous elbow. Mighty Mouse took it with good humor, then upped the intensity even further, circling with his foe and controlling his arm to clear the way for a whirling right. He then piled attacks on Moraes' left leg, as if he was mad at the limb itself for landing the knockout blow in their first fight. Adriano was not amused, and showed creative savagery by chaining a switch knee into a hard push that hurled Johnson into the cage. He then intercepted Mighty Mouse's attempt at a shifting clinch entry with the slicing upward elbow. The two gladiators continued to go back and forth, each man seeming to bring out the best in the other, until the fight came to its thrilling conclusion. All throughout the third, Mighty Mouse had been using a chambered kick as a feint to great effect. This round, he had improved on it further and added new attacking ideas. Now, this same feint would prove to be the decisive move of the entire fight. DJ drew a lead hook for Moraes, but he had paused mid-motion and the punch fell well short of its target. Taking advantage in a split second, Mighty Mouse stepped forward to launch himself into a perfect counter right. Moraes barely kept his feet, stumbling backwards in nearly a full squat until his back touched the cage. DJ stuck to him like glue, staring into the eyes of his target the entire time until he was ready to unleash his final blow. A knee to pay back Moraes' knee, and a knockout for a knockout. However, the story does not end there. The two are fated to meet one last time at One Fight Night 10 in just a few days. On May 5th, one man will put the rivalry to rest for good. The outcome of this historic fight is anyone's guess. But if you're as interested in knowing as I am, then you can watch the fight on Prime Video on May 5th. Link in the description. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.